Hi guys, Overarch, and I have a really quick tip for you for RainBowSixSiege. So this tip is going to be talking about spawn peeking. And I understand that a lot of people don't like spawn peeking. They consider it kind of bad manners, I guess you could say. But quite frankly, if you're not checking for spawn peeks, then you kind of deserve to be spawn peeked. All of these, I also feel there's a distinction between getting shot after you've already spawned for a few seconds and are running to the objective, as compared to getting shot the second that you spawn in. That used to be a problem with certain spawns previously in Rainbow Six. Now they've kind of fixed that, patched that out. So I don't think that there's any reason not to spawn peek. Spawn peeking is a legitimate part of the game. If you get spawn peeked, you are probably mostly at fault for running in so blazingly. Alright, so let's get into it. So the first thing that you need to understand while spawn peeking is that you don't want the enemy to know where you're coming from. And because if you get into just like a straight up fight with an attacker, chances are you're going to lose. And we'll talk about that a little bit more later. But don't let them know where you're at during the preparation phase. You need to be in one area while their drones are out droning. Let them even see you in that area. That's fine. And then in the last few seconds, you need to time it so that you should arrive at your spawn peek point right as they're spawning. And it's also good to remember that it takes them a few seconds to become visible after spawning. So even if they're sitting there on their drones, if you get to your spawn peek location a couple seconds after they've spawned, they're not going to know you're there. Another good thing to try to do is try to open multiple angles on the enemy. So if you have a couple different windows side by side, hit both of them and create a hole in both of them. Because as they come up there and start looking, a good player will be looking and checking for spawn peeks. So you can kind of force your enemy to split their attention. If there's 3 open windows in front of them, they're not going to know which one you're shooting or which one you're about to shoot from right off the bat. Next up is to try to use good long-range weapons. Remember, attacker weapons are just straight up better than yours, which is one of the reasons why they'll win a 1v1 fight. So you don't want to try to fight a assault rifle with your SMG, because chances are you're gonna lose. There are a bunch of operators that have decent weapons for peeking. People like Jaeger has a great weapon. Vigil has a great weapon. Just kind of know your weapon and don't be overly cocky with the spawn peek. Next up, and another reason they'll win that 1v1, is they know about exactly where your head will be. Your head is going to be right at the windowsill. So you really need the element of surprise to win that duel, and if you spawn peek and they know you're there, chances are you're losing that fight. Lastly, stand as far as you can from the window so to minimize your exposure to their return fire. Obviously, if you're standing there directly on top of the window and are just silhouetted, yeah, sure, you get a good line, a good field of view. That shouldn't matter because you know where they're coming from. But obvious downside being you're much more vulnerable to their fire, so stand back. Another thing to remember is that spawn peeking, in my opinion, is a little bit stronger on ranked. And the reason for that is because people spawn scattered all over the map on ranked. People spawn at multiple spawn points. So it's, for one, it's a lot more likely that you're going to actually get someone. Most of the time that I try to spawn peek, usually I don't see anybody, at least in casual. But in ranked, you're more likely to get somebody. And if you end up in a firefight, you don't, take them out with the first shot. You're only fighting them and maybe some other people. Whereas in casual, they're all five of them are going to be there, so they're all immediately going to turn their guns on you, and now you're fighting 5v1, which isn't a great position to be in. Alright, so as always, guys, thanks for watching. If you have your own tips, please leave them below. Hope to see you next time. Bye.